Hi, welcome to the Chad Bozarth Show. Thanks for listening. Jeff, what's up, man?
What's up? How you been?
Good. Dude, you have a great setup there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we're doing a I'm actually starting a podcast on my own. It's called the Howdywood podcast. And so it's we're talking about indie films in Texas and a whole bunch of like behind the scenes things that you're not going to get from social media content, you know what I mean? Like that other films like push. These are like stories that obviously when the cameras weren't rolling.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so awesome because dude, I want to ask you, I have so many questions for you.
Okay.
Like, uh, dude, you're a busy man.
I am. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you shot me a text this morning because I'm editing I just finished like 2 days ago my second feature film. So I guess it'd be technically like my sophomore release, right, with Pickleball. And it's great. Everything got approved by all the executive producers and associate producers. They all love it. So I'm super excited. So now I'm cutting my third one that I directed in July of this year, and it's called Santa's List. It's a Christmas horror movie, which it's kind of funny. Like two of my two of my features involve Santas in masks for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we've been planning to have this conversation. So a few weeks ago, I rented Porch Pirates. So I'm like, well, I better watch this before we talk because that'd be dumb if I didn't. And man, I
Right.
loved it. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this guy on Do Not Disturb so I don't get a bunch of
So
text messages.
so that how does that work? Because well, let me ask you first before I get into like the nitty gritty. How did you get into filmmaking?
So I actually started out as a professional musician. Um, I've been playing music since I was 16 years old, church bands, different stuff like that. Coming when I was in college, me and one of my buddies started a Christian rock band, and we started touring. And if you know anything about Christian rock bands in 2008 through 2010, which is when we were going pretty, or no, sorry, 2012 and 13, which is when we were going pretty heavy. That was kind of like the decline of Christian rock at that time. 89.7 went out of business. All these major festivals that we would play, they would start dropping and falling out of nowhere. I was doing like 'cause I was the front man of the band, so I was like responsible for the social media content and all that stuff. And I was doing like BTS videos, and we were just getting creative and doing silly stuff. I was a worship leader um, uh, at a church, like the worship leader for the youth at a church. And the youth pastor he bought a camera, a Canon 7D, and he was like, "Hey, do you think you can do some creative videos?" At the time on YouTube, one of the big dudes that we were into. I mean, Rhett and Link is still going, but Julian Smith. I don't know if you ever watch any Julian Smith videos from back in the day. He just made the silliest, dumbest videos, and they were so hilarious. And so we decided to do a handful of them for the youth department, and we would just kind of play. We would film me and this other guy. We would do videos with each other, and we would play them, in the youth for like transitional moments or whatever, and they were just super funny and super stupid. So I started doing that. I ended up building the entire creative department in that church because they didn't really have one. So we built the graphics
Wow.
department, the web department. I hired, I came on as the video guy. They were outsourcing everything, and so I decided, I helped them bring it all in house, and I got approached by you may or may not know her. Her name is Ann Byer. She's actually on The Chosen. She was the blind lady on The Chosen that got healed. That's
Mm,
always with Barnabas.
mm.
And this was 2016. I was shooting her headshots, and she was just talking to me. She goes, "Jeff, is this what you want to do? You want to work at a church for your whole life?" I said, "Honestly, no. I mean, I love the entertainment industry and I love telling stories. I grew
Mm.
up watching movies with my grandfather. I mean, we'd watch all of Mel Brooks stuff, Blazing Saddles was on repeat at our house. Me and my grandfather would just have like deep conversations about Star Wars, which is so crazy, right?
That's awesome.
Um, and And yeah, so we would just nerd out on like all these big movies, and I knew that like music was a step in movies. So you think of like a movie in and of itself encompasses all the realms of art, right? Because you have your
Mm.
physical medium in, like background paintings and things like that. Like everything comes together, music and then acting and then cinematography, and it literally brings the whole world of art together. And if you ask anybody, what their favorite band is, everybody's going to have somewhat of an opinion, but they're going to be like, yeah, yeah, Chris Stapleton's good, not a big countryman, blah, blah, blah. But then you ask people about movies, and
Mm.
their opinions get very strong
Mm.
because everybody's got a favorite movie, everybody's got a favorite genre, everybody's got a favorite actor, everybody's got a favorite director, and it's something that I started to kind of, you know, take to heart a little bit. One of the things that has been passed down, music has been passed down for generations and generations, like since the beginning of time. But one of the things that have been passed down, maybe even before music, is stories.
Mm.
And that's what movies are. It's just stories put to picture. So when she asked me that question, I really wanted to, I wanted to direct movies. I mean, huge fan of Steven Spielberg. Um, Jurassic Park had a huge influence on my life, like seeing what the magic of movies could really do. I was about the right age when it came out, to really be impacted by all that. I mean, I had all the dinosaur toys, everything. I was
Hey,
just
when
like
that
super into.
Dilophosaurus, his whatever,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that freaks me out every time, man.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. You know what's funny is like Jurassic Park is a horror movie shrouded in some illustrious beauty, right? It's at its heart a horror movie, which is so crazy
Yeah,
to think.
that's true.
Like this is a family movie now. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But no, when she asked me that, I mean, movies have always been like in the back of my mind. So she goes, I was like, I'd really like to direct a movie. And she said, well, let's make one. And so we entered a competition called the 168 Film Competition. And this was in 2016. She put the entire cast and crew together. I wrote the concept of the script. We did like a test 48-hour film festival. I was working with the writer at the time. He was directing, but he wanted me to sit underneath him. And his name is John Pender, passed away just recently. I spoke at his
Oh,
funeral.
sorry.
But
Mm.
not recently. It was probably a couple years ago. But yeah, he was very influential in like teaching me how it works, how the story works, how to tell the stories, and even on that film set, I just I'm so used to like working at a church, so I'd run around and I'd like grab C stands and sandbags and stuff, and the sound guy, Bill McCarthy, he pulled me aside and said, Jeff, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to help, just trying to move the production along. He goes, are you directing? I was like, well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm here to do. And he goes, then direct. Stop touching equipment. I was like,
Mm.
he goes, the more you're touching equipment and moving stuff, the less you're working with the actors and getting ready for the next scene. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that's something that like I was learning along the way. But we did this little film for 168 that year. I met Jason Walter Vale. Mark Blitch actually was one of the co-writers on it. But the crazy thing about Mark Blitch, so him and Jason were already good friends coming into this. We did a 48-hour film fest, and they dominated everything. We won one little award, and they dominated every other category. And I was like, my gosh, these guys are like masters at storytelling. But I knew Mark Blitch because even when my band was going really strong, if you know anything about Right Now Media, Mark would come in
Hmm.
while we were leading worship, and he would shoot B-roll of my band and the youth
Mm.
department for Matt
Mm.
Chandler's videos and Francis Chan's
Mm.
videos. So
Oh,
like
cool.
you can even I get messages today where they're like promoting a Matt Chandler teaching series from like 2014 or whatever, and everybody's like, I see videos of you all over this thing. And I'm like, I mean, that's what they were doing. They were filming me. So I knew him from that. And he really helped me with like buying my first camera, which was a Canon 60D, right, the right lens package that I needed, and all those things. But when it came to filmmaking, like this was those were like small film, like small little shorties that I was doing for the church. And then when it came to actual filmmaking, so they decided not to do 168 that year. They had struggled in years past, so they were going to take a year off. And I came to them with a concept, um, and they were like, "Well, yeah, we'll write it for you, but that's about it." And I was like, "Okay, fine, that's fine." So they wrote the script for me because I'd never written a script before, and and put the whole team together. We got together, and it was pure chaos. The shoot was. I mean, you get 168 hours to make a, an 11-minute short film, and we got hit with one of the biggest storms. I mean, like one of the nights we were trying to film, it rained 8 inches,
Oh my goodness.
8 inches in 3 hours. It was so bad. It wiped out the entire set. Um, like people's cars were stuck. A massive tree fell over the road to where at 3 in the morning, I had to wake my dad up and we had to go get the tractor and a chainsaw and be able to cut our way out of the set so that at least some people could go home. John Blaze was my DP on that one. And at the time, John Blaze didn't have, he did, I think he might have had a driver's license, but not a car. He was young. He was 16 years old. And, and so I was driving him. I live in Ferris, which is 20 miles south of Dallas. He lives up in North Fort Worth around Azle area. I was picking him up before the shoot and dropping him off. And you're
Oh
talking
my
about
goodness.
a 3 hour round trip just so I could have my DP on set. And we were filming with the Red One camera. And the one thing I know about the Red One camera is it sucks batteries. Like the battery life on this thing maybe lasted 10 minutes, right? But
Really?
it takes 5 minutes to boot up. And I'm looking at this thing
Wow.
going, how did they make Lord of the Rings with the Red One? You know what I mean? Because I believe that's what they shot it with, was with the Red One. And this thing, we would light, we would get our actors in place, we'd rehearse, we'd do all this stuff. And I'm looking at the shot, I'm like, this is great. Are we ready to roll? And be like, hang on, we gotta change batteries. And I'm like, all right,
Oh man.
everybody take 5 minutes. It's gonna take forever. So it was like it was fun. That was my first experience making a movie, but we ended up doing that one. It went out to LA at the 168 Film Festival, and this is actually the story of how I have my name, which is like my company name, which is Red Plaid Films. I did not think we were going to win anything. We were nominated for like 11 awards, but so were like three or four other films. And I showed up. I'm wearing blue jeans and a red plaid shirt, and
Mm.
just like the most basic. Like I'm not winning anything, and we're just here because I mean, they gave us the nominations because they just wanted us to show up. And my wife was there. A couple of the actresses were there. Super funny, and we ended up winning best editing, best director, and best picture. And I had to get up and give like two speeches, like the best director speech and the best picture speech, while I'm wearing blue jeans and a red plaid shirt, and everybody else is wearing a tuxedo.
Oh my goodness. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah. So I was like, man, there's pictures of me with like Bill Farmer, who's the voice of Goofy that was giving the award out. And
Oh
he's got like
wow.
a full on cummerbund, bow tie, the whole thing. And I'm just like some redneck in a red plaid shirt.
Dude,
Uh,
that is an epic backstory for your company name, man. That is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. First ever feature, not feature film, first ever film that I directed was short film. And then we ended up winning this competition out in LA. So it was pretty fun. But yeah, once I
Dude.
did that, I mean, I was hooked. I'm hooked on storytelling. It's just something beautiful about it. And even to make a movie, it's a miracle in and of itself. All the pieces, like all the stars, have to align just
Yeah.
perfectly. I mean, you can force it and push it through, but even still, like just forcing it through is still in and of itself a miracle that it all comes together.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you ever think, it's so easy to be a consumer and watch a movie or some performance and be like, oh, that wasn't that great or whatever. But it's kind of like there's so much that goes into it. By the time it gets to that point, like it's hard to
Yeah.
know, right? Like,
Yeah, no doubt. Here's a funny little, and so like as I've kind of evolved in my process of making movies. So when I started doing features, I got in as an editor, and then I got in as a DP, right? And then from there, in a DP role for a movie called Grumpy Old Santa with Glenn Morshower, Gary Valentine, Kevin Farley, available now if you guys want to watch it. Um, the director had never directed anything before, but I had been involved in production and entertainment for so long. I just had like a vision for like, the way things should move and work, and also because I had like started, departments and mega churches and things like that and helped build them. I really understood like efficiency, especially
Mm.
when it comes to being on set. And so we would look at a lot of these scenes, and he was a first time director. He was a little shy, I think, behind the camera. He was an actor that moved behind the camera.
Mm.
um and he was, like, what should I do? What do I need to do? And I would look at the script and look at him and go, do you want me to offer some suggestions? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right, we're gonna get out of the scene in 8 shots. I need a shot here, shot here, shot here. I need a special on this. I need this. And I listed all the shots. I was like, we can get out of it in 8 shots in 45 minutes if we move really quick. And he was like, oh my gosh, this guy really knows what he's doing. So he gave me the
Mm.
opportunity the following year. We sat down and wrote a script together, and we released Porch Pirates, which is
Ah.
available now. Yeah. So that was my directorial feature film directorial debut 2 years ago. Um, Porch Pirates. Well, it released 2 years ago. We shot it, I think, 3 years ago. Wait, no,
Mm.
it released last year. It released last year. My It's been such a wild year for me. It released last year. This is the second Christmas that it's been out, and but 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to direct it, and that idea split into a second idea, which led to Pickleball. And
Mm.
so, yeah, that's going to be the next one that comes out. We're looking at a spring release right now. Currently shopping it, trying to find the best distribution deal. I found that like with Porch Pirates, we did self distribution, and it was okay. But for me, the experience with self distribution is once you get on a streaming platform or whatever, you're like the redheaded stepchild. You're there to fill a number, and so it gets
Mm.
thrown back into the algorithm. And anytime you do like social media marketing for your movie, the moment they go to that streaming platform and have to hit that search bar, you're literally relying on your dollar is 1 to 1 on
Yeah.
like what you're spending in promotional material, social media, all that stuff. I mean, it it becomes a nightmare. So you spend $30,000 on social media marketing, you make $30,000 back in streaming. It's like, oh my gosh, dude, you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to make your money back. So that's why I'm like, man, maybe we don't do the self-distribution route. I mean, it could happen like if you end up hitting like something that goes viral or something crazy like that, and then everybody just goes and watches it on their own. Yeah, but that's like winning the lottery. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you
So
ever get frustrated like you put so much work into something and like so much work and so much thought and effort, and it's like somebody can post a video, lighting their hair on fire, and it's like it's like I don't know, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, where it just gets like all the views. I mean, well,
Yeah.
yeah, not really. I think people, here's the one thing that, and no knock against Taylor Swift. I'm about to say, I'm gonna give you a hot take right now. There's a reason why so many people pay thousands of dollars to see Taylor Swift live. It's it's in my mind, it's not art. It's corporate. I don't want to say propaganda, but it's like it's corporate, just packaging, right?
Mm.
It's that weird structure, and there's so many people that just they don't look for anything original. That's why Marvel does so well when it releases something, right? Because it's safe for people.
Yeah.
It's not original. Like last night, we watched The Long Walk, me and my wife, and my goodness, I all I could think of while watching this is a pure metaphor for the Vietnam War. That's
Mm.
all I could think of, and it was so gritty. It was so hard. It was so real. Like I don't know how people feel about that movie if they've even watched it, but it's not a safe movie by any means. But it
Mm.
was beautiful in the fact that like you think of Stephen King as one of his first novels, if not his very first novel, and um there was no fear there when he made that book. It
Mm.
was purely writing what he wanted to write. And I think there's a lot of movies that just kind of get away from that because what happens in the entertainment industry is when you start trying to chase the audience's attention,
Mm,
the audience leaves you.
mm.
And that's where you find like a lot of, film. The only way that that so it's hard to explain because you're still going to get like millions of views um a Marvel movie or like a Hollywood staple that everybody is going to go and see, right? You're still going to get millions
Yeah.
of eyes on it, but you're not going to, those movies aren't like the most memorable, like that you walk out of that theater really contemplating life, like you
It's
do.
almost like, yeah, it's almost like manipulating the audience or something. Because I can remember I loved those first, those first Iron Man movies with Robert Downey Jr. And then it
Because
just
they,
started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like,
yeah,
honestly,
well,
like I can't get emotionally attached to the world ending every movie. And it's
every
like,
movie,
yeah, it's like almost, yeah, they just kind of take it for granted that you're gonna see it. So it's
yeah.
like, yeah,
I will say this though, Favreau is absolutely, like John Favreau, the director of Iron Man, is absolutely brilliant in creating worlds. But then what he does is he turns it over to everybody else, and then it
yeah.
gets watered down and so small. You think of like Jungle Book, right? The first Disney live action remake. And then from there, it's like, what have you done since then? Nothing that I remember. That's great. And then, I mean, maybe they have a few hit or miss. And then obviously, like Mandalorian, opening up the Star Wars universe. Like John Favreau is brilliant at like taking the risk on an IP in a direction of an IP that nobody has thought of before. And then everybody's like, well, let's just keep putting layers on the cake, and then it just becomes, you know, it there's just so much to consume. So it's like, I don't know,
There's so
like
much.
originality gets thrown by the wayside, and a lot of it too has nothing to do with audience choice. It has a lot to do with studios' choice in which to promote.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
because in reality, like, you could have, there's a lot of great movies that either go straight to streaming or they go minimal theater release, but the studio never talks about it because they're putting all their money in Deadpool 4, or in the next Toy Story, in the next, I keep throwing Marvel out there, or DC, or Wicked for Good, right? The amount of marketing that went into Wicked for Good, which by the way was a pretty great movie. I went and watched it with my wife. But like the amount of marketing that went into those versus the amount of marketing that goes into original concepts is pretty wild. They don't put hardly anything into original concepts anymore. It's safe IPs that they know they're going to make their money back. And it's like, man, well, what if you took that same money and marketed, an original IP or an original
Yeah.
idea? I bet you would then create, like we did in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You would create those iconic, legendary movies again that everybody goes and sees in the theaters. I mean, Jurassic Park was an original idea of a movie,
Hmm.
albeit groundbreaking, but there was no IP there other than a book, right? Same thing with Jaws. Same thing with like, if you think of like the movies that shaped our world today. If you think of movies that shape our world today, I think of 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And today,
Yeah.
I can't point one out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and it's like you were saying about story, it's like I don't care if there's special effects or anything. I want a good story.
Story's
Like,
key.
dude, I'm in a class right now at seminary, and literally it's called The Story of Scripture,
Hmm.
and I love it. Like now, as this kind of structural component has been pointed out to me, now when I read scripture, it's almost like, well, this is like sacrilegious or something, but it's like watching Sixth Sense for the second time. It's like all of
Yeah,
these Easter eggs all throughout, and all of these hyperlinks and all of these connections, and it's like once somebody starts pointing it out to you, it's like, oh man, I can't stop seeing how this is a cohesive story. It's amazing. Okay,
right.
let me get your hot take on this. What are your thoughts on AI, man? Because let me preface this by saying I'm one of the most nostalgic people that I know. Like I feel like I'm Chevy Chase on Christmas Vacation. I love the
Yeah.
old ways of doing things and everything. But like speaking of money and production costs and everything, what's going through? I mean, you're neck deep in this stuff, and
Mhm.
AI is here and on the horizon. What are your thoughts on what's going to happen?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a docu-series about there's a brilliant doctor who's written several series on the brain, and so we're actually utilizing a lot of AI. He's also getting older in age, so there's going to be moments where I'm creating a digital avatar of him because I can't get him to set anymore. So he's just providing a voice, and then we're recreating him with AI to continue on. He wants 30 series on the 30 episodes on the brain and all this stuff. I think AI as a tool is great. I mean,
Hmm.
it can help a lot of things. You look at like Runway Aleph is one of them. If you haven't taken a look at it, it's one of the first AI programs that actually can integrate into real footage. And I can't tell you how many times as a VFX artist, like like when you're working on low budget indie stuff, it becomes you're no longer as a VFX artist, like you're no longer making money. You're spending money in order to help
Hmm.
the producers finish the film, and then you're not
Wow.
seeing points on the back end because if
Hmm.
if like, hey, I want an explosion of this building or this airplane flying over, and you're trying your best to make it look good. I mean, even if you're working in Blender, Houdini, but you're doing like smoke sims and explosion sims and RBD simulations and like all this stuff, and you're talking about 2 to 3 weeks worth of renders, and it's like we don't have the money to pull this off. You know that, but I'm just doing it as a labor of love for you. But then I can feed that same footage into Runway Aleph, and we can generate like 4 or 5 different looks that I can
Hmm.
build off of in After Effects and enhance just a little bit. So it allows, the low budget indie filmmakers, it allows them to stay within their budget and not get so crazy out of depth. But I will say this though, AI is good, but it's not great. And you can look at like there are moments in AI where you're like, yeah, that'll work. Like if you're trying to recreate a world, a drone shot in, let's say a medieval time with castles and stuff like that, man, that would take me a month to build out between Houdini, Unreal Engine, whatever models I'm buying. You're talking like 15, $20,000 worth of high quality models. You got to get that shot, or I can just feed it through, Veo 3.1 with a prompt for higher budget movies. If you have the money to do it, here's my take on this. VFX looks better.
Hmm.
AI looks fake. But if you don't have the money, AI can get you where you need to go in the story that's not so distracting that it takes you out of the moment. But if
Hmm.
you have the money, pay an artist. I mean, I
Hmm.
see Coca-Cola's Christmas ads are driving me insane because
Hmm.
like last year they did an AI one, this year they're doing an AI one, and it does not look great. There's nothing inspiring about it. There's nothing heartwarming. And then also it just feels sick to my stomach when you think of a multi-billion dollar company that has all the resources and money to pay a true team to do it. I think I read an article, it was 5 guys and it was 70,000 AI generations. And I'm like, that's a lot of AI generations when you could have probably paid, 50 guys in a VFX house that could have probably knocked this out in a couple of weeks, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so it's like, I get it, but at the same time, like if you've got the money, you've got the resources to pay people. And when AI starts taking jobs away from people, then it becomes a serious issue. But if it just enhances in moments where you don't have the money to pay a team, I think that's great.
Hmm. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's it's such a balance to like what you were saying about telling a story and all of the components that have to come together. Like you don't want it to go corporate. You want to tell the story, but you also need money because nothing happens for free.
Right.
And
Right.
it's such a weird balancing. So that's let me ask you this. Um, it's one thing to have a creative idea. It's one thing to even write a script, but to actually execute something and come out with a final product. I know that's probably like 1,000 podcast episodes, but like,
Yeah.
give me the Cliff's notes on that. Like, how do you do that, man?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with a script. I mean, you said it earlier. Story is king in everything that you do. If you do not have a solid foundation, I look at like a movie is almost like building a house. I used to flip houses. My dad
Mm,
was in construction when I was a kid, and you think of like, you have to have a solid foundation, and the solid foundation is the story. It's really going to shape the structure of the house. And everything starts with that, right? I think with
mm.
pickleball, we went through, I'm not even exaggerating, probably 40 iterations of the script
Wow.
until we got to what we wanted. It was, Jay would write it, and then Justin, our other writer, would get on board, and then they would send it to me, and I'd be like, well, I don't like this direction. So then I'd hop on board and I'd write. And I'm not really credited as a writer on this thing, but I wrote several scenes in there. As a director and producer, I'm like, I don't need another credit. These guys did an amazing job coming up with the story. It's just like, let me put my personality in this thing because it's going to flow a little bit better for me as I'm directing. And then even the actors added their pieces to it. But yeah, the script has to be refined. It has to be flawless. And even going into production on that one, I still wasn't comfortable with the script, which is why we ended up having to come back. Um, 10 months later to do some reshoots for Act Three,
Mm.
to kind of
Wow.
fix some of the issues that even I had on that script while we were filming. Porch Pirates, on the other hand, I feel like we went into production with a great idea for a script, and it was enough for us to get the project done, but also allowed for enough creativity throughout the day to be or throughout the weeks that we were shooting, to be able to just add stuff on the fly, which I love to do when you're doing comedies, right? Um, Santa's List was another one. We had a pretty solid script going into it, but um, when you see it go from paper to production, it's it's pretty wild because when you walk on set, for the first time and all the actors are in clothes and costume and the camera's there and you're seeing the picture, it's like it's seeing your text words become visual, right?
Mm,
And then when you take that and you put it into post and you're watching your playback, even in the rough cut, it's like, wow, this is becoming a reality here. This is beautiful. And then the cherry on top is when you add that score, that where you're looking at the scene and you're like, I just don't know. This scene kind of drags a little bit. It's I don't know if the audience is gonna like it. And then you send it over to the guy doing your score. He's like, hey, let me just have some time with it. And then they put that score in there and you're like, nope, that's it. Not changing a thing. That's amazing. And when you see it all like become a reality and you watch people, which I love to do, we'll do like a screener for the movies like we did with Porch Pirates. We'll do it again with Pickleball. We'll do it for Santa's List. And you watch people's reaction to the moments that you tirelessly wrote on paper, not knowing whether or not it would work. And
mm.
then you watch it in the theater and see their reaction or see them laughing or even see them crying. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Dude, Jeff, thank you, man. Thanks so much for spending time with me and giving me a little bit behind the scenes look. Where can we find you?
I mean, I'm all over social media, so it's just at Jeff Scott Hamm, Scott, not and then Hamm. I like to say I'm John Hamm's better looking brother, but we're not related, unfortunately. I might be a little further in my career if I was related to John Hamm. But no, it's at Jeff Scott Hamm, and then that's my Instagram and TikTok handles. You can find me on Facebook, just Jeff Hamm, IMDb. You search me up, you'll see all my movies on there as well. And then redplaidfilms.com, you'll see a lot of my upcoming stuff. We've got Pickleball coming out next year. We're wrapping up a documentary called The F Word. It challenges the idea that there's no true path to re-enfranchisement of felons in America, that it's an unofficial life sentence of America's second class citizens. And Yeah, there's just a lot going on. Al Oliver documentary gonna hopefully come out next year. Al Oliver's an amazing baseball player that played from 1969 through 1984. Should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's one of the things that we're talking about. Uh, Career batting average of over 300. I'm a baseball player. I played baseball my whole life, so it was beautiful to get to sit down with these legends and talk about their stories. And then Santa's List. We'll look for
That's
it in
awesome.
July of next year.
Okay. And when does your new podcast start coming out?
At the beginning of the year, we're looking at January. Mhm.
Okay. And what is the name of that again?
It's called the Howdywood Podcast.
Howdywood Podcast.
So think of
Dude,
Hollywood, but Texas.
Jeff, man, congratulations on all your success, and I wish you much more success. And thanks so much for spending time talking to me, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Bye.